It's time for Inside the Gamecocks, the show with Phil Mullinax and J.C. Sherbert.
So, how many of you would say you speak English fairly well, but with some difficulty?
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
You play to win the game.
Now, let's take it away, J.C. and Phil.
Inside the Gamecocks, the show. J.C. Sherbert, Phil Mullinax here with you on a Monday. Happy Monday, everyone. Monday morning. Everybody's getting out of bed and all that good stuff. So, kind of a tough weekend for the Gamecocks. I know that right after the game, I was, pretty critical. Also, thought that upon further review that, the Gamecocks did not play well. It was not a thing of beauty, but I also should have given more credit to Arkansas. I think that when you look at what they do, they are going to have a chance to beat everybody they play.
Yeah.
Just kind of looking at how tough they are to tackle, how tough their scheme is to stop, how their guys run it on offense, how the first time you get something stopped and the next thing you know, they're chunking it down the field or going wide, or they're doing some kind of misdirection. I thought Kendall Browse called a great game for them. But, oftentimes we talk about every game as if it's some sort of coaching matchup, right?
Yeah.
I think Saturday, I thought he got the right calls in at the right time, but I also think their players, particularly their offensive line, dominated South Carolina. And there's been some talk about my initial game thoughts on Saturday, and I want to address that. I put them on TV. I ended up deleting them because I was trying to make a greater point that, at some point, watching the same issues over and over again on the field, i.e. lack of blocking, susceptible to the run on defense, all that outweighs, or can potentially outweigh all the good that's happening. And it kind of read like I was taking a shot at the culture talk or at Justin King and the social media crew and all that. It read like a snarky little, and so I deleted it. But my general point was not, and I was like, oh God, and I was like, I wouldn't, because everybody's like, why are you taking a shot at Justin? And I'm like, I'm not, dude, I love all the things they do. I mean, I'm just like, at some point people are tired of watching the same old issues, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to clarify that. That's why I took that down. And I'm not saying that that's not true. I think, the Gamecocks need to get some things fixed. Would it have allowed them to be in position to win had they played a little bit better against the run, made a few more tackles that they didn't make? Because I think they got enough on offense, particularly down the stretch in a weird, wild, crazy fourth quarter.
Right. Yeah.
It's a 37-point outburst by both teams in the fourth quarter. But, I don't think, especially early on, some of those misfits or whatever on defense, those led to long drives and touchdowns. But if Arkansas, against anybody they schedule, on their schedule, and I'm talking Alabama too, and I'm not jumping off the Tide bandwagon just because they struggled to beat Texas. I think Alabama's a great football team, but they play those guys in Fayetteville. And if you let them get in third and less than 5, how do you, I sat there thinking, well, and I'm sure there's some defensive coordinator out there somewhere that will, but how do you stop it? Because if you stop the pass, he's going to tuck it and run. And then he's hard to tackle, especially with by defensive backs. If he runs the ball and you bottle him up, he can pitch it or throw it. It's just like, how do you stop it? And that's probably that's probably one of the harder offensive schemes to stop out there right now, given their personnel at this time. I've always been a big Kendall Browse guy, and I've always liked the Browse offense in general because it is versatile. I mean, you have something right now that's sort of the equivalent with a little more flair and a little more pizzazz to what Houston Nutt and Gus Malzahn used to run back when Arkansas had Darren McFadden in the Wildcat the whole time.
Yeah.
How do you stop it? Well, it looks kind of, it looks easier than it is out there. So, anyway, I wanted to just say, I was like, look, that's, South Carolina has its flaws. I don't know why they didn't try to establish the run a little bit more in the first half. The first drive, Spencer goes around the edge for 8. Bell gets a 6-yard carry, and then they kind of abandoned it. I don't know if Carolina would have been successful running the ball, but they didn't try a lot. 17 carries, 73 yards without Rattler's stats. I haven't gone through and factored out like which ones of his yardage went for positive yards or whatever, but it's still under 100 yards. The poll question last week was, will Carolina get above 125 yards rushing against Arkansas? That was a no.
Big time, yeah.
Rattler, I thought, improved game 1, game 2. I think particularly Spencer Rattler's second half Saturday was very, very good. And I think that they could continue to develop that passing game. And look, folks, I'll remind people too, as much talk as there is about play calling and the offense in general. And look, I'm not sold that this is the right offense, at South Carolina long term. I think that's always just like everything to be determined. But Spurrier had some games like that Saturday where he just chunked it all over the yard. I mean, sometimes you come in and you decide you're going to do that, and you do. And so, I didn't really have a problem with that. Do I wish they would have maybe stuck with the run a little more? Yeah. I thought Marshawn Lloyd was able to get, they may have lathered him up a little bit and he could have busted some plays, that kind of thing. 7 carries, 23 yards, a really nice 7-yard touchdown. And then Marshawn again in the pass game, 6 catches, 72 yards, including a big screen pass on the first scoring drive right there to kind of beat Arkansas's momentum back. But the second quarter got him, Phil. I mean, that was
it was the dagger. Yeah.
They were able to get up 21-3, and then you scratch and claw, and you get the touchdown before the half. You miss the extra point. And then on 3rd and 17, it's probably, to me, the play of the day for the Gamecocks. Rattler steps up and fires a bullet over the middle to Antoine Juice Wells, and he just runs away from everybody. So this is there's 2 super positives. It's hard to come up with super positives. When you get beat like that. But there's 2 super positives. Number 1, I think Juice Wells is an emerging superstar in the SEC. 8 catches, 189 yards, the touchdown, almost had another one. Also, that's on top of a 7-catch deal from last week. I like to see them getting him vertical more. Yeah. Although that they kept running him horizontal, and then it paid off on the first touchdown that he scored. There he goes.
Yep. Well, that was where you're giving him the middle of the field. You might as well take it.
Yeah.
Get it into his hands. But I think the good thing about that is we emerge with a clear number 1, right? People are like, do we have a number 1 receiver? Do we, and we do. Juice is the real deal.
He is. I thought Jalen Brooks played well again. Austin Stogner getting 5 catches, I think was big. He was used in the offense. A lot of talk about why Jaheim Bell's not part of the passing game more. I don't know. Ask Marcus Satterfield.
You're going to have to ask Satterfield.
He didn't do much on the ground after that first 6-yard carry either, and that's a shame because he's a really good player. But I did think so. That was my first super positive, Phil, was Juice Wells. I've been kind of seeing his praises for a long time, and a lot of some folks were skeptical, some folks knew, but some folks were skeptical because it came from James Madison or whatever. I think he's the real deal. and I think he's going to have a really, really good year for South Carolina moving forward. Defensively, I thought Nick Emenware, and thank goodness, because that side of the ball suffered some injuries. Nick Emenware, man, and it's against a team like that too. I mean, where your eyes have to be right as a safety, Phil. I thought he was all over the field.
Yeah. I mean, flying to the ball again. I mean, looked like the best performer on defense again. I mean, there'd be more 21 jerseys sold, than there have been since Marcus Lattimore was here.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, break your 21s out because they're good again.
Yeah, there you get that back. He got 7 solo tackles, 11 total tackles, a quarterback hurry.
What I like is the moment didn't look too big for him. I mean, and it could have been. You're a freshman. You're on the road. You're playing arguably the top 2 team in the SEC right now. We'll see how that holds up. But, it could have gotten way out of hand for him, but he continued to just pound away, make plays, be in the right places. There were some mistakes, a couple of little blown coverages and things, but other than that, yeah, good game.
Yeah, I thought so. And you worry about that spot because you do have a freshman back there. But one play in particular, I think Arkansas was running a sweep. And toward the goal line, and he comes from the back end and just mows the guy down short. Now the Hogs scored, and I think that was on the first drive, Phil. I think he did that on the first drive. But really good players. Zach Pickens played really well with 12 tackles, half tackle for loss. I thought Al Birch played well again, second straight game. So maybe he's coming on. But we talk about Arkansas. And we'll close the book on the Razorbacks because I think we've done a really good job talking about this Arkansas team because it was the SEC opener with Trey Biddy in here. I think Drew Sanders, the kid they got from Alabama, is an animal. On defense. I thought he was a big difference maker for them. 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, a deflection, a hurry. When they sent him, he was a handful. And I think he'll be a handful for everybody else. And look, Arkansas, again, don't, just because they're not Alabama or LSU or whoever. I mean, they got Missouri State coming up, and then they've got A&M. I think they play that out in Dallas, and then they play Alabama at home on October 1st, Phil.
Yeah.
They're going to be hanging from the rafters in Hogland. Now we've talked before, their schedule's tough because after that, 3 straight road games at Mississippi State, at BYU. I don't know who scheduled that. BYU beat Baylor this weekend, by the way. They're number 12 in the country. And then at Auburn, and then Liberty.
Right, yeah.
Woo, shoe buddy, woo pig. But you look down the road, and I'm like, watching Alabama play this weekend. I mean, I don't know of a single defense because Arkansas is not playing Georgia, and Georgia's defense obviously looked pretty good against Oregon. It probably again could be the best defense in the conference, maybe not. But I look at how Alabama's defense and the defenses that are left on Arkansas' schedule, and I'm like, they're going to be really hard to stop. I mean, I don't. And maybe you look. Sometimes you look on a game and you're like, especially in a, it is Arkansas, and it's a team that for the last 10 years has kind of been in the wilderness as a program, and Carolina hadn't lost to them in a long time, that kind of thing. I think it was 2009 the last time Carolina lost, or 2011 is the last time the Gamecocks lost to the Razorbacks, and so that's 11 years, and so people aren't used to it, but heck, they're good. I think, and I think that with the team they have this year, they really are making good use of the players they have within the 2 systems on both sides of the ball. And so hats off to them. And I think after watching it again, I'm like, I know some of the same old issues came up in that game for Carolina, and I wouldn't be surprised if they came up again for Carolina this Saturday, given who they're playing. But I looked at it. It's like it was much more about execution by Arkansas, and then the physical. I don't want to say domination, but clearly, Phil, Arkansas's offensive line won the battle
Oh yeah,
lines of scrimmage. I mean, we talked about that, and I think they won the battle there. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you got to give credit to the opponent, right?
Yeah, and plenty do there to them. But I mean, everybody's being so critical about everything across the board. But it's just, I mean, it's a hell of a team we just played. I was wrong in thinking we could sneak one by them, but hell, here's the thing: the team didn't quit. And I think this is something that a lot of people are talking about too. And it should be stated that, this team could have just quit, threw its hands up and said, no, screw it. We're getting out of here.
You get behind 21-3 like that. And you're like, oh, here we go again.
Yep, we're losing again.
And look, you're sitting there and it's 21-16 and you're like, it's 21-16. Carolina just got the ball back. Arkansas has been dominating. Really, to that point, you feel like Arkansas is dominating the game, yet they're only up 5 on the scoreboard.
Yep.
That's what was so frustrating about it, I think, because – and look, this isn't on Shane Beamer and his staff, but a lot of times, many, many times during the Muschamp era, and I'm not putting this on Muschamp either. I'm just saying this is a trend Carolina people have sat through. Okay, finally you get back, you come back, you're right there. And you've got some stops on defense, momentum on offense, and then all of a sudden the other team just goes right down the field.
Yep.
Boom. And that happened time and time again during the Muschamp era, and not so much last year. Last year it was either kind of like, Phil, either the Gamecocks were going to, come out and play a tough game and play a close game or win, or you knew within the first 10 minutes what was going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
And I was sitting there thinking Saturday about that. And I was like, oh, and when they cut it to 21-16, I was like, oh, this is different than what would happen last year. Cause the Gamecocks have, I think the Gamecocks athletically, player-wise, they have the firepower on offense to make some things happen. They just, again, very leaky offensive line, did not establish a push up front. And that may be, if you want to talk about the lines, Arkansas's offensive line obviously got the best of Carolina's defensive line and defense in general. But South Carolina's offensive line, I thought, Arkansas had, they have some new faces up front. Drew Sanders is more of a linebacker type where you got to kind of figure out where he's at. That kind of thing. I think Carolina's offense in general needs to really concentrate on like freelancing defensive players, FDPs. I'm gonna call that because those guys at Georgia State had success doing that, and then a little more selectively, Barry Odom had success doing that for Arkansas this past weekend. So, disappointing day from the standpoint of not so much a loss, but some of the same issues over and over. That's what I was kind of disappointed about. And, like my point was on Saturday, I hope that this changes. The on the field deal changes because there's too much good otherwise to sit there and watch the same thing over and over and over again. So here we go. Turn the page, and we'll talk to Keith also. We're going to talk to Keith at the top of the hour to get his review. We'll spend most of the day kind of reviewing. Going to get in the Nana Sports chat box right now. And the I Help Consulting mailbag, I'm sure, has a lot of.
Oh, yeah, we're loaded.
Oh my God, locked and loaded.
We're loaded.
All right. So, anyway, and also, guys, one final point before we get in the Nana Sports chat box. It was a weird day in college football.
Right.
A weird day. I mean, Alabama, Texas, we talked about. App State. Never schedule App State.
Why? People will never learn their lesson. It doesn't matter home or away. Don't schedule App State.
Look, man, and Texas A&M threw 2 games, and this is kind of surprising to me because I thought their defense would be, a bit leaky and young and stuff like that. Defense has played okay. 31 points against Sam Houston and then 14 against the Happy Appies. They have Miami and Arkansas the next 2 weeks. and then I believe they play Alabama.
I'm believing a lot more in Miami doing well in that game this week than I was going.
Maybe I was. Yeah. I mean, I'm like, so I'll just break this down to A&M could legitimately be like 1 and 2, 3. All right, so they've got App State, Miami, Arkansas, Mississippi State on the road, who's owned them, Alabama on the road, and Carolina's the third straight road game. So they don't beat Miami this weekend, which I kind of think they'll rebound and find a way.
Yeah.
But then they got Arkansas. I don't see them beating Arkansas. At Mississippi State, I don't see them beating Mississippi State. At Alabama, and then so the Gamecocks. So this A&M game, and I said it over the offseason. I said, if you're going to get A&M, you better get them this year, because those players are going to get older or whatever. If indeed that all works out, because we know about the NIL deals and all that, and I think they're a test case in a lot of ways. But that was a tough loss for them, because all of a sudden that changes dynamics. Yeah, Georgia Southern mercifully ending the Scott Frost era at Nebraska, 45-42. And then the biggest surprise for me, and the one I paid dearly for around the house, was Marshall beating Notre Dame.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I couldn't believe that.
But I kind of like Marshall as a program, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, well, that makes me kind of happy to see. We all know what happened there. The movie with McConaughey in it. And all that.
Well, hats off to the Sun Belt, because they put on a hell of a show this week.
Keep saying, man, Sun Belt's got Georgia State nearly knocked off North Carolina. That was a hell of a game. North Carolina is like in survivor mode right now. I think somebody ranked them in the top 25 this week. I'm like, well, that's just kind of, yeah, I guess so. I mean, who knows how Mac Brown and the Heels will do? But they're 3-0, and it's a very ugly 3-0 in a lot of ways, and survival. It's a survival kind of thing too. All right, Nana Sports Chat Box. By the way, hour number 1 of Inside the Gamecocks, the show, is brought to you by Cindy Sear Foss of Caldwell Banker Kane in the upstate of South Carolina. Please, please, please take advantage of Cindy Sear Foss's services. And we've had several happy customers that have done so, that are members of our site, listeners to our show. How about that? As you guys can see, I've got a haircut this weekend.
Lived up to your word. Like it.
I knew I was going to do this as soon as it happened. But yeah, it was getting on my nerves. It was out of control.
It was getting a bit bushy.
Yeah. Nana Sports Chat Box. Craig says, morning, crew. Morning, Craig. Lance says, what up, killers? Tough weekend, but hope some of these injuries are not serious. I feel for Strawn and Kaba. That was another big storyline we didn't touch on.
Yeah.
Those are two very significant losses. And with those two guys, you got to kind of recalibrate a little bit expectations-wise on defense, I would think. But we'll see kind of what it is. Shane Beamer did not sound confident those guys were going to be back, and said that they want to talk to those guys, and they can come out and tell the media and the public more with that. But I felt bad for him too. That was tough. Strong was playing well. Kaba obviously, for him to get shut down right now is just brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. Craig says 7 minutes into the second quarter before we hand it to a running back. Yeah, through 2 games, Phil. They haven't really wanted to come out and establish the run.
No, and it was baffling. Like, I mean, hell, even the crew in the press box noticed it. It was like, and that's the first carry for an actual running back. And I'm like, yeah.
I mean, I
didn't understand that, but I don't know. I mean, I get it. I get the game plan was to throw it over, just throw it at them, try to, take advantage of a banged up secondary and some newer faces, but you gotta freaking run the ball. You have to run the ball.
And sometimes those secondary absences too can hurt you and can make a team vulnerable to the run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the safety's got to come up and you make a couple of people miss. I mean, I don't know.
Well, they're giving you light boxes too. That was the other thing. It was like, I understand what your game plan is going into this, but if they're going to put 4 people in the box, then I mean, give it a chance. Try to run the ball.
Almost. That's one instance with this offense where I almost and look, I went back and forth with the RPO thing during the McClendon and Roper play calling era, right? I'm not so sure that in that case, if you have like a bunch of RPO packages or some at least in your offense, that you just don't go RPO heavy right there, because you're just reading the box and handing off. Maybe they didn't feel like they could get any push or open any holes even with a light box. Who knows?
Either that or they were just looking at it like, oh, okay, now we're going to be able to actually block because they're only going to send 3. Yeah, the counter to that is they're dropping freaking 8.
There's 11 guys on the field,
right?
So, yeah, I don't.
And that's why I thought intentionally running Rattler a bit more would have been fairly effective in that scenario.
First play of the game, he takes off.
Yeah, I was happy to see it. I'm like, look at that! You picked up 8 freaking yards.
I was like, Phil was that was one of your keys, right?
Yeah, I'm like,
go Rattler, go Phil. I was like, and then we never saw it again.
And then it stopped. It just died.
I mean, and
that crazy chain situation on the opening drive, I think, cannot be just glossed over, because we run in tempo. You got momentum going at that point, and then here on a third down, where you just want to keep running and keeping your tempo up, we have to slow down for procedural crap.
Yeah, kind of interesting, right?
That was weird.
It was, and it almost felt like they were, and they kind of gave Arkansas a chance to sort of regroup or whatever on that particular drive. And then the first scoring drive, I thought, surely they're not going to just run screen after screen after screen. I was like, about the 4th time you do it, they're probably going to sniff it out, man.
Yeah, it's like, they're going to blow this up now. Oh, look.
now, again, in fairness, in 2013, out at Missouri, Spurrier kept doing that. He just kept throwing this little screen to the running back, Mike Davis, and Gamecocks went right down the field because they never covered it. And guess who ran the defense? I think that Barry Odom was not there yet.
No,
so
yeah.
Stand corrected. Odom was not back at Missouri yet. But anyway, Chris says, actually, Lance says he'll be there Saturday, hoping for a miracle. Yeah, I show up for the game. Look,
don't dampen this game yet, because this is a huge recruiting weekend.
Yeah, and it's 26-point favorite for the Dogs. I'll remind everybody, Florida was a 20.5-point favorite against the Gamecocks last year, lost by 23.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Georgia, through 2 games, has been extremely impressive, just like they were last year. They keep on rolling. But it's 2 games. You got to look at the opponents. It's their first road game of the year. This is a different environment, and the SEC opener for the Bulldogs. So the Gamecocks, I think could give them a game. I don't see why not. I don't know if the matchups probably don't favor the Gamecocks all that much, but I think when you've got big playability on your offense, like Carolina does, you can make some things happen. Now, we're going to talk more about big playability versus a big play offense. Ability just means, hey, that's the kind of thing there. Chris says it's wild we can't get Bell the ball other than as a running back. No idea why.
Yeah.
Bud says, why not sell out to stop the run? We weren't stopping the run or the pass. That's because when you come up to stop the run, Mike, like that, then that's when those wide open passes happen.
Mm-hmm.
When Kendall Browse and these guys have the players to fit like what they want to do, or they have because their offense is so versatile. This is what I love about it. This is what I love about that offense. Okay. The Browse tree. Because you could do everything from like what Lane Kiffin's doing at Ole Miss to what Heupel's doing at Tennessee to this thing that Arkansas is doing. It's the same thing, but it's that system is a great college system because it's versatile. And it's great for the programs that need to do more with less, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not always going to have a guy that's an elite guy throwing it down the field. And then likewise, you're not always going to have a guy that can run the ball at quarterback. You're not always going to have, the ability to go 5 wide with speed at receiver. Sometimes you may have a bunch of bigger guys like Arkansas. Sometimes you're going to have a tight end like Trey Knox. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes, and that's kind of the way it is at most programs. I mean, there's a reason why Georgia over the years has always kind of run a pro style offense, is because they can. They always get the best running backs in the country. They're always pretty decent on the offensive line, at least. They always have a pretty good quarterback. They're able to do that personnel wise. Other schools are not. You got to be different. Now, Marcus Satterfield's offense, to his credit, is different. I mean, it's way different. But speaking of Arkansas, I like the Browse system because, Mike, kind of that's what happens. So, defenses want to come, sell out, stop the run. Okay, well, we're just going to pop it over the middle. That kind of thing.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that, there's a way to stop that. And obviously there was a blown assignment, but that's kind of what their offense is designed to do. Alex said the loss sucked, but the key injuries are a bigger deal. 100% what I'm still reeling from days later. I agree with you, Alex.
Yeah, long term, yeah.
Kaba, it sucks because he's going to have a great year. I do think Sherrod Green can step in and play and be fine. I think Stone Blanton, as the year goes on, as a freshman, I think he's got promise. Donovan Westmoreland, all those guys. But Kaba, he had such a great preseason.
Mm-hmm.
And he had an injury, an ACL injury in high school. And you saw not only him playing well, but a lot of good things happening in his life with the NIL deals he's gotten and stuff. And it just sucks, because he's about to arrive. Right?
Yeah, on a breakout year, right? I mean, like just full breakout season, and it looks like it's going to get cut short.
Yep, and both of those guys are eligible to come back next year. Jordan Strong would have to, I think, apply for a 6-year injury wise, or maybe not. Maybe because of the COVID year, he's got one. But anyway, both those guys could come back next year. But it just, they were doing pretty well with the injuries, right?
Yeah.
Until Saturday. Lance says, hope we move Bell back out and get him some targets Saturday. I'm not sure about this. Why not? Why they don't do that?
I don't know.
I mean, that was in the bowl game last year. That was kind of a key move because Joyner was at quarterback, and Bell and Brown played Joyner's position, and that gave the passing attack an extra target or whatever. And I don't know. Daddy O said he missed a lot of good games Saturday. He got hammered watching the Gamecock game. I paced myself pretty good Saturday and Sunday.
I missed a few too, Daddy-O. It's all right.
Yeah. Ashley says Monday morning,
morning, yeah.
I feel bad. Lance says super tough. Dos Benditos says, whoa, fresh haircut.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, this is homemade. I did not go because you're gonna. I was like, I'm gonna shave it, right? Like just I'll cut it really, really short. Wait, you go to Great Clips. It's 20. It's because I always tip well. And you're not gonna go anything nicer than Great Clips on a Sunday morning to get your head shaved,
right?
A Robo doll, right? And so I'm like, I looked at the Great Clips app and it was like 47-minute wait, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna do it myself. Get me the clippers.
Yep.
And I did it. My fiance helped me. Lance Player said, like the killer hairdo. Got the BCD cut. Yeah. Jeff Fowler says, morning, gents. Love your post Saturday night. JC, go Cox and Semper Fi. Thanks, Jeff Fowler. Right. Like I said, I just wasn't too happy at how I awarded some things. And I the last thing I would ever want to do is, appear or come across like I'm coming down on things that are ultimately extremely positive. Just because I was disappointed in an outcome of a game, and it came across that way. That wasn't my intention. My intention was kind of to prove a point, but honestly, So I reworked it and redid it, and I'm going to stick with my policy of don't comment until Monday after the game. I don't. I mean, I always like to go back because your thoughts about a game sort of evolve as you go back and review.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
That's why I don't social during a game, and then
I actually didn't either. I did not. I was tweeting a little bit before, and then stopped, and then did not tweet about the game until yesterday when I just posed the question: are we ready to talk about how good Arkansas is?
Yeah, right.
And it's not just that they beat the Gamecocks either. It's just kind of you look at them. Okay, well, what do they have that certain championship level teams have? Veteran quarterback. Great offensive line, probably the best in the country, or at least the SEC. fast running backs and a lot of them, good receivers that can hurt you, good schemes on both sides of the ball, an active, crazy freelancing, what I call it, a freelancing football player, freelancing FDP, freelancing defensive player, Drew Sanders. Yes, they're a little banged up in the secondary and susceptible to some things, So like Alabama, you have to think Bryce Young, Bill O'Brien, those guys are going to try to get vertical. But look, can't say enough good about Arkansas. Anyway, we're up against it. And we go to the break, and we'll be right back with a statement from my fiance from the Nana Sports chat box. We're going to get into some of these mailbag questions. We got Keith Allsep. Coming up at noon. So here we go. Inside the Gamecocks show. We'll be back after these messages.
Just as your State Farm agent combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates, you can combine your home, auto, life, or small business insurance with Tony Pope State Farm Insurance today. And guess what you'll get? That's right, even more good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. In fact, Tony Pope State Farm is your go-to agent anywhere in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Georgia for the service you deserve at the price you want. So try combining your home, life, auto, and or small business insurance today. Tony Pope State Farm has been in business for more than 30 years and can handle anything you need in the tri-state area. Once again, Tony Pope State Farm will help you mix and match perfectly. Call 843-851-2222 or visit tonypope.com today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
If you're a listener, I feel strongly that if you're in the upstate and are in need of real estate services, Cindy Searfoss is your go-to person. Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane can help you with any of your realty needs right there in the upstate of South Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, Oconee, Pickens, wherever you are. Cindy can help you with that. She's married to a diehard Gamecock fan, has been in the upstate for more than 35 years. Right there in my hometown of Spartanburg, Daniel Morgan Avenue. Contact Cindy, 864-414-5271, or email csearfoss, CSEARFOSS, at cbcaine.com, CBCAINE. That's Cindy Searfoss, a proud sponsor of the Inside the Gamecocks podcast. Check her out. We've already gotten several emails from listeners that are very impressed with her professionalism and her ability to help you with your real estate needs. 864-414-5271, Cindy Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Attention golfers of all ages and skill sets. Former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor will be a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina very, very soon. You want to take advantage of this opportunity. If you're like me and you got to get a whole lot better at golf, or even if you're looking to refine your swing, Meredith is the person you need to go to. She's competing in her final USGA Mid-Amateur Tournament this summer before going full-time into teaching and coaching individuals. If you're in South Carolina, Meredith will be conducting in-person golf lessons at the Country Club of Lexington, hour, on course. She'll play 9 or 18 with you. If you're out of state, though, this is really exciting. She'll be conducting virtual lessons. You can send in your swing for her expert analysis. Also, in November, she'll launch an online course with video instruction for all ages and skill levels. Meredith has 20-plus years of knowledge
former SEC golfer, all of that. So contact her on Twitter at Mertaylor, at MERTAYLOR, or go to McKellarEnterprises.org. McKellar spelled MCKELLAR, Enterprises.org. Her email's on the website, so you can connect with her for any other questions. Go get your golf game in order. Take advantage of Meredith Taylor and her services.
Yep, time to get back to the show. Shoot. All right, my man.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show on a morning Monday. MOURMIN. I got a little bit better mood yesterday. I went to Mike Morgan of the JC and Morgan podcast. By the way, my head was cold, so I put the visor back on. I mean, I didn't want anybody to turn on the show, Phil, and be like, "Hey, there's two egg." Yeah. and the bigger one on the other side, that head is enormous. So I don't want to scare anybody with the,
Well, I sit back from the camera so as not to emphasize the size of this noggin.
Mine is it's like a planetoid,
Heed. Try himself to sleep on the pillow.
I'm supposed to sleep on the back of this huge pillow.
My
boy's head's like Sputnik. I don't want to get. I can't get off. I can't get off track with "So I Married an Axe Murderer" quotes. So anyway, Phil, before we get started back, why don't you tell them about Manscaped real quick? If we have that up, I don't know if we have that up yet or not.
Let's see. I got it right here. Yep. Just remember, support for Inside the Gamecocks, the show, is provided by Manscaped. If you couldn't figure it out, both of us look like we're using it above the waist, but they're the best in men's below the waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped recently launched the Ultimate Men's Hygiene Bundle, the Performance Package. Join over 5 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. There's 20% off, free worldwide shipping with the code BIGSPUR at manscaped.com. Remember, that's 20% off with free shipping using the code BIGSPUR at manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence, and as always, use the right tools for the right job with Manscaped.
Definitely do that, folks. Guys, fellas. I know. I mean, they're I almost took the cream, the cream they give you.
Yeah, the deodorant.
Like rubbed it all over my head, and I was like, that may not be that. That's probably not what you should do, JC. But
I know. I thought about that shaving this morning using the toner on my face.
A little different than that'll work or not. But yeah, that toner smells good. Anyway, thank you so much for considering getting Manscaped again. 20% off and free worldwide shipping. Promo Big Spur at manscaped.com. All right, Nana Sports Chat box is rolling along. Nat says something. I told you to get something. She's looking like twins.
Yeah.
That's why I put the visor on. I was like, anyway. Daddy says, now I see why our 2023 class is full of big guys on both lines.
I don't think it's like causation. I don't think it's the direct. I don't think that's why we have such a good recruiting class in the trenches, if you will. But because you have to maintain that to compete in this league, you have to have that.
No matter if Carolina was really good on the offensive line, right?
Yeah, you would still want those guys.
That's like that. So that was good. Yeah, and so I don't think it is, but yeah, this is a very promising offensive line class. I think the 3 they got last year are pretty good. I still think, guys, look, man, Vershawn Lee has not played as well as maybe I anticipated this year individually. Just when I focused on him, he may be. I mean, it's hard to focus and individually break down all 5 offensive linemen, right? But it seems like he's kind of the culprit sometimes of missing some blocks and some things of that nature. But I still have hope he's a good player.
And I'm willing to say that there was week over week improvement.
I think so too, particularly with pass protection. And look, here's the crazy thing about it. Now, do you adjust? Do you maybe not go so much empty against Georgia? I mean, 4 years ago, Carolina tried to go empty to start against Georgia. A disaster ensued.
Yeah, it did not end well.
early on, and and all that. So do you maybe not go empty against Georgia? Maybe you do. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you keep somebody back as like a protector, because I'll say this: when Spencer Rattler has time and is comfortable with these receivers, good things can happen.
Yeah.
I think we know that through 2 weeks. The problem is he doesn't always have time, and all that good stuff. So if they can find a way, and I thought second half they pass blocked pretty well, and it became kind of a different type of ball game once Arkansas went up by 19. I mean, and that's the other part of it. It's, I think fans are, and not even me really, I don't mind it, but I think fans are sick of these games where, it's a 25-point spread. Carolina comes back and cuts it to 10 or 11. Everybody's like, oh, here we go. Ready to go. I think that's called maybe taking advantage of a certain defensive look and at the end of games, which, I've seen happen in football all the time. Craig says, Nat, if you could see me, it would be triplets. Will says, line of scrimmage play just not good enough on both sides of the ball. Yeah, and then I thought they were pretty good. Will, I thought, as far as not playing well, I thought offensive line probably didn't play well and probably could have played better.
Mm-hmm.
I think the defensive line just got beat, except Zach Pickens.
Yeah, you were outmatched.
Sometimes Jordan Birch. I mean, I think those guys are just good. And you also got to think of the window. I don't think Carolina handled the window dressing very well on defense. And, it's just kind of bad when you're sitting there looking for a certain look, and then all they do is run off tackle and they blow you off the ball. It's sad. But that's what a good offensive scheme in college looks like, folks. I think just because you take what you have for like an Arkansas, for a South Carolina, for a Kentucky or who I don't think Kentucky cares about offensive scheme. But name your other school, even a Florida or a Tennessee. Those types of offenses can be equalizers in a lot of ways because you don't year to year you're not worried about, oh God, well we don't have this type of player this year, and what are we going to do without that guy in our scheme? Well, you just kind of switch. It just morphs into something else. That's why I like it. The Briles tree offenses are really good, I think, for college ball. Lance says it's not about getting knocked down; it's about how you get back up and finish the fight.
That's right.
You're not going to get your worth. Take what you're worth, but these are cowards do it. That's not you. Tool says the microphone's making the rattle noise. Oh God. Well, it's bothersome. I can't hear it, but because I can't.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
Myself through these headphones. So that's probably part of the problem. I don't realize I'm doing it. I'm trying to work through that. I'm sorry, Nathaniel. Cocky Gaming says, honestly, your initial thoughts felt accurate. Yeah, I just changed them. Offensive line seemed to do better this week, but the defense struggled. Yeah. As far as the football part of it, I mean, I stand by all those, but I just I thought in trying to explain what I was trying to explain, it didn't come across right. Mike Budden said, "Didn't we want Briles? How would we be with him instead of Satterfield?" I don't want to speculate on that. I don't know that Shane talked to Kendall. I know that when Briles was at FAU, he probably would have come and taken the job as OC when McClendon, when Muschamp went with McClendon, but Muschamp wasn't. I don't think he was interested in that one. I actually says, honestly, I didn't walk away completely disappointed to go on the road and score 30. It's a very good SEC opponent. It's a big improvement from last season. This program is still developing. Need time. Oh, I agree. I'm not ready to throw in the towel. I think, though, that you do notice some things through 14 games that, you'd like for them to clean up. And this program, this year's team, I think, can still win some games. Just kind of looking at kind of who everybody else is and what they do, and I think this team can still win some games, right? I think they're perfectly capable of winning more games than they did last year, quite frankly. It's probably not going to be a pretty start.
Yeah. No.
Probably, let's be realistic. Georgia's coming in ranked number 1 in the country. Of course, Gamecocks have played pretty well against teams ranked number 1 in the country. Since
and
joining,
you can take heart that Stetson Bennett's probably not going to carry it 19 times for almost 70 yards.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that happen.
No.
And so, but you look on down the schedule. Okay, so you got Georgia this weekend, big, huge game. And then you got Charlotte, and they're terrible. And you got SC State, who you should easily beat. And then there's kind of a reset, and you go on the road to Kentucky. You got a week off. You go A&M at home. And then, Vanderbilt, or then Missouri and Vandy. I don't think Missouri looked all that good this weekend. Got smacked 40-12 by Kansas State. Turned it over a bunch too. So you got Missouri, Vandy, and then you go to the Swamp, Tennessee, and at Clemson. It's the Orange Crush again this year. I'm just not quite sure. That you look and you look at any of these games. I think Clemson's going to be exceptionally tough up there with their defensive style.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't look at any of them and go, except Georgia, and right now kind of gulp. I don't think, Phil.
No. I mean, this team should not be scared of anybody, including Georgia coming in at home. I mean, you're going to compete with them. And you just build off the positive from this week to take it on into next week. We lost a couple of big-time defensive players, but, all hope is not lost. Not that I was calling for a 9-3 season, but a 9-3 season still would mean losing one of these 2 big-time SEC games at the beginning and winning the other one. So, if you're one of those 9-3 people, it's still out there for you to do.
Yeah, no doubt. Lance says, Clint says Justin King is incredible. Having said that, we don't want to be known as the team with the greatest social media team. At some point, we have to win a game we're not supposed to. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And that hadn't happened. It did happen in 2020. And then the next thing you know, in the classic, I call it the must champion era. Like it's like the Elizabethan era, the must champion era. As what happens so many times, you'd have this great high moment and you'd think things were going to turn around, and then the bottom would just fall out. And then the bottom really did fall out. But the Auburn win at home, I don't think the Gamecocks were favored in that one. In fact, they'd never beaten Auburn in SEC since being a member of the SEC. Now they've beaten them twice. Lance says until we're able to play competitive ball on the road, we will tread water. When they did show fight in the end, it wasn't good enough. Yeah, take your chances at Kroger Field in Lexington coming up. They beat Florida this weekend. So, at some point, it's got to change on the road, right? Lance says, I don't know if we can run the ball. I don't either. I hope so. I would at least try. Xavier, listen to the show from Winthrop, Washington. Shout out Pacific Northwest.
More Pacific Northwest.
We have a Pacific Northwest crew that listens to the show every day. Will said the game played out where they had to air it out. Same thing will probably happen against Georgia too. Who knows? It'd be nice to be able to run the ball, but who knows?
There is a first half.
Yeah.
There is a first half of the game.
Greg says Emanwari is the best safety we've had in 6 or 8 years. Probably so.
Yeah.
It's probably going to end up that way, Craig. I think he's, you look at him in this recruiting class and you're like, wow, that guy's a player. Yep. JC says might as well go air raid to start Saturday since the O-line cannot get a push and run the football. And we'll not get one this weekend. You got to try. I don't know. Because air raid, if you keep going empty, what Georgia's going to do is send guys. And they're leaking through anyway. So you may want to keep a back in, keep 2 backs in. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is there.
No.
Ashley says just let Rattler play his offense, build the offense around the passing game. He seems to be more comfortable with it. Brian says it wasn't an embarrassing loss. We hit a couple of those deep balls. We could have gotten the dub. Loved our physicality. I agree. Now, I'll say this, Brian. Arkansas got the best of that matchup physically. I think Arkansas out-physicaled Carolina, but it's not that Carolina did not play physical, if that makes any sense.
No, we didn't play soft. That was the good thing. I mean, we're out there hitting as hard as we could. So
JP says we finally started having a screen game. Now, if he can implement a running back and quarterback draw game, the draw that's kind of when teams are coming after you, you know.
Yeah. And it was there. That was, I mean, they were giving it to us.
Yeah. Greg says need to run tempo. We aren't good enough to go slow and try to man up and block 1-on-1. I agree. And I, you know, but you get it. If you're going to go tempo, you got to make sure you're churning them out and not gassing your what's going to be a banged up defense. I don't know that going tempo. I don't know. Georgia's just kind of a hard deal. You know, I'm sure Oregon. I mean, did Oregon go tempo against them? I don't know.
I don't think it mattered.
Yeah, I don't either. But you know, if you sit there and keep going 3 and out, and you give their offense, Georgia's offense, it's going to get ugly quick. Because
whether you huddle or not, it doesn't matter.
they don't. You know, that opens up their whole play because then Monica can just kill you. So I like the tempo. I don't know that I like going empty because, you know, I do think there's some execution ideas there. But I think when you go 5 wide like that, you're basically saying we're not running the football unless it's with the quarterback. Or we use some motion or something. I don't know. Motion may work. It just seems like you just line up 5 and go and say go. And I don't know. So we'll see. Spencer was great. He needs to roll out left sometimes. Yeah. JC, serious question. Why does it seem like the only time Van is targeted is a bomb along the sidelines? Every time they do, he's 3 or 5 yards overthrown. Is he not running 100 or is he being overthrown? I think probably just at the times he's in, you know, they've overthrown him. He had sort of an up and down preseason, like was really struggling and pressing at the beginning of preseason and dropping passes again. And then toward the end, I heard he looked great. And then through 2 games, he kind of seems like the other Josh Van. And look, sometimes other guys just are better. And it doesn't matter what happened last year, you know, with Van. Juice Wells is just better. Now, it's not that Josh isn't good and they don't need him. I think they definitely do. I mean, they need him to get back and rolling. I mean, he was one of 2 guys, he and Stogner, I was looking for more production out of this week. But, you know, Juice to me lost in the struggles of the offense the last 2 weeks of the fact that South Carolina has a legit number 1 receiver.
Yeah, more receiving yards than anybody in the SEC.
Yeah, and his name is Juice Wells. So that's beautiful. It's beautiful. Because the juice is loose, right? Anyway.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, he's fun to watch, man. Smooth, nice. I mean,
speaking of juice, you ever seen that Dave Chappelle where throughout his stand-up he goes, the second time I met O.J. Simpson. The third time I met O.J. Simpson. It was awesome. All right, top of the hour coming up. Keith Allsep on the other side. Thank you. Chat boxers and mailbaggers, we'll get back to you after we get Keith's thoughts on the game this weekend. It's always entertaining to have him on. Keith Allsep from the Locked on the Gamecocks podcast will be with us after these messages. Inside the Gamecocks, the show rolls on.
If you're a listener, you know I feel strongly that if you're in the upstate and are in need of real estate services, Cindy Searfoss is your go-to person. Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane can help you with any of your realty needs right there in the upstate of South Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, Oconee, Pickens, wherever you are. Cindy can help you with that. She's married to a diehard Gamecock fan, has been in the upstate for more than 35 years. Right there in my hometown of Spartanburg, Daniel Morgan Avenue. Contact Cindy, 864-414-5271, or email csearfoss, CSEARFOSS, at cbcaine.com, CBCAINE. That's Cindy Searfoss, a proud sponsor of the Inside the Gamecocks podcast. Check her out. We've already gotten several emails from listeners that are very impressed with her professionalism and her ability to help you with your real estate needs. 864-414-5271, Cindy Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
Hey, man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues, and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
Oh, I feel that, man. My head hurts, but I have a good lead on a good idea. I'm calling your boy Matthew Odom today from Heritage Digital. Heritage Digital is an IT firm that specializes in making sure your IT network runs like a dream. If you have 1 or 500 employees, it doesn't matter. They do it all for one monthly fee and have clients from South Carolina all the way to California.
Yeah, I heard that monthly fee's low too, so I don't know why I didn't even think of that. Do you have 843-699-1001 as Matt's contact number?
Yeah, man, I sure do that. Or you can go to heritagedigital.com.
Man, I hear they do a no-cost assessment. Boy, this will help me.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm getting on that and encouraging everyone else to do the same. Heritage Digital, 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com, a proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Hey, folks, JC here. I've told you about Nana's Porch over and over again. They sponsor our chat box on the show. Don't take my word for it, though. I wanted you to hear from Gamecock pitcher Noah Hall about our sponsor, Nana's Porch. Nana'sPorch.com. Go there. Food truck, catering, whatever you need. Take it away, Noah.
What's up, Gamecock fans? This is pitcher Noah Hall. If you want some delicious food for your event, I suggest visiting nanasporch.com today to find out what they all have to offer. It's really good Southern cuisine based out of Charlotte, my hometown. I hope you guys go check it out. Go Cox and go Nanas.
What's up? This is Jaheim Bell with the Gamecocks, and you're now listening to Inside the Gamecocks show with JC and Phil.
Thank you. Welcome back. Inside the Gamecocks show, JC Sherbert here with Phil Mullinax on Morning Monday. And we welcome in our friend, the man, Keith Allsep from the Locked on the Gamecocks podcast. Keith, just going to let you have at it. Tell us what you thought about Saturday in Fayetteville, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Well, I mean, JC, it's kind of the same road formula that we've seen from this team, quite frankly, since 2019, spanning 2 coaching staffs outside of an upset of number 3 Georgia, and then obviously a win over Vanderbilt. This team does not get off to good starts on the road. And look, I'm not mad at Shane Beamer. I get that he is the spin doctor for all things Gamecock football, but it was only 7-3 at the end of the first quarter because of the number of possessions. Arkansas, the first 4 times they had the football. Okay, 13 plays, 63 yards, touchdown. 12 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. 12 plays, 61 yards, touchdown. 7 plays, 43 yards, they missed a field goal. Okay, to start the second half, yes, South Carolina shut Arkansas out in the third quarter. But does anybody remember that first third down when Clayton White sent the house and that 6'5" guy that never did anything at Georgia and then went to Toledo for a year and transferred to Arkansas dropped a touchdown pass?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to scream and moan at Marcus Satterfield, and certainly I'm still not a huge fan. You did put up over 400 yards of offense, and you scored 30 points, and quite frankly, you should have scored more. You had opportunities on deep balls. That was Spencer Rattler's calling card in 2020 at Oklahoma. Pro Football Focus, his deep ball numbers from 2020 are higher than any player in college football the last 3 years. He failed to connect. He threw an interception in the end zone. I have no idea what he was even thinking on that. And so I just don't think Arkansas has 2 5-star and 3 4-star offensive linemen up front. And South Carolina does have 2 5-star defensive linemen and 2 4-star defensive linemen up front. And JC, at some point, you have to want it more than the other guy, and you have to execute better than the other guys. And you don't need to wait to do it until you're down 21-9 or 35-16 to do it.
I'm right there with you. Kind of the same old story. I think that was, after looking at it, first and foremost, I think Arkansas is going to be really good this year. They could have a 10-11. Heck, they could win the SEC West if they beat Bama at home, which I think they could do. I mean,
I don't think they can, because I don't think their defense is good enough.
That would be the challenge, I think, stopping Bama from going over the top and all that good stuff. But heck, it's in Fayetteville, 7-point game last year. I think their offensive scheme just gives you so much trouble when you can't get them. Like when they were in third and more than 7, I know they converted a couple of those. But Carolina, I mean, you have a shot to get off the field then. If they're in third and less than 5, I mean, Kendall Briles has a buffet of plays and then options off of those plays if they get stopped. And then if all else fails, you got a 245-pound quarterback that can normally fall forward for 2 yards. That's crappy to stop. But I thought Arkansas's offensive line clearly got the best of South Carolina's D-line. I did think Zach Pickens played a pretty good game. Losing Boogie Huntley hurt, losing Strong hurt. I thought Burks played well at times, but let's be clear. Arkansas's offensive line totally kicked their butt, right?
I mean, JC, stats, piling up stats are for losers. Okay, to me, I can't even think of a single consequential play that Zach Pickens made. I mean, was there a huge stop where Zach Pickens made the play in the backfield? I mean, this was, and I hate to quote the ass clown from the upstate, but this was a bring your guts game, okay? And to me, the only guy that brought his guts on the South Carolina defense was an 18-year-old freshman wearing number 21.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
he didn't play like a freshman.
It's sad that you have 4th, 5th, and 6th-year players, and a true freshman is basically the only one that brought his guts on defense, because he laid the wood to KJ Jefferson. And quite frankly, that's the only time I remember KJ Jefferson getting stopped dead in his tracks was when Nick Emanwari absolutely clocked him.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, do you think Appalachian State said, oh, my God, there's 106,000 people here in Kyle Field. We have no chance. We have to go on the road to play Texas A&M. I mean, we have no chance because Texas A&M is flooded with 4 and 5-star guys. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster than us. We can't win. No. They said, we don't care that we have to go on the road. We don't care that you got 106,000 people in there that do some really weird shit sometimes. We don't care that your roster is littered with 4 and 5-star players We're just going to line up and do what we do and dare you to stop us. And until South Carolina gets that mentality on both sides of the football, they are not going to meet expectations.
Talking with Keith Allsep from the Locked on the Gamecocks podcast. And I agree with you there. I mean, it's same old, and it just you got blown off the ball. They were the more physical team. I mean, you can't win games in the SEC losing that matchup every single time. And I'm with you, Keith. I don't know that Arkansas's offense had a lot better players top to bottom. I think they have a very tough scheme to stop with the guys they have now, because you sort of have a kind of a different freaky kind of player back there at quarterback, and then with what they do, they are hard to stop. But I felt like you wait until the third quarter to start playing ball, and look, the defense did show up for a short time, got a big stop. And then the next thing you know, I think it was a negative 12-yard drive. Down 5 with the ball, offense goes backward. And then it's like down 5, needing to stop, and the defense gets shredded. And this keeps happening over and over and over again at key moments in football games.
I mean, look, Arkansas had not rushed for 295 yards in a game since 2016, and that was probably against the Acme School of Typewriter Maintenance. South Carolina's allowed 495 yards rushing in 2 football games. Rocket Sanders had a career high against South Carolina rushing the football on Saturday. All of these are alarming trends. And they just play completely different at home versus on the road. And I'm not apologizing for the fact that they need to figure something else out, because it's not about the social media videos. It's not about the hype uniform things. It's not about above all else for your brother. It's about going out there. If you are fighting for your brother and your brother's not doing his job, you need to tell him. Where's the motivation? It's just and look, I love Sam Pittman. I love Arkansas. Everything you said is spot on, but they were minus their best 2 players in the secondary, in Slusher and Catalon, who unfortunately suffered a season-ending injury against Cincinnati. And for South Carolina, you lost Mo Kaba probably for the year, Jordan Strong probably for the year. Well, so now you got Sherrod Green. Okay, how many games will he hold up? And so all this does is puts more pressure on your offense to deliver. And I mean, I'll just be honest. If Kendall Briles was on the South Carolina sideline, he would have hung half 100 on Arkansas's defense. South Carolina has the players on offense. At times, Marshawn Lloyd looked like the best player on the field. Juice Wells certainly was a absolute beast. Austin Stogner, after that first screen that he caught when he looked like he was running quicksand, when they had to kick the little field goal, he looked outstanding. And once again, Marcus Satterfield, Jaheim Bell, MIA in the passing game. And at this point, let's face it, every time Jaheim Bell lines up in the backfield, he's getting the ball. You know it. I know it. Phil knows it. And so does the opposing defensive coordinator and all 11 players on defense.
Mm-hmm. Talking with Keith Allsep, Locked on the Gamecocks podcast. So sometimes games can be deceiving. Obviously, if you watch college football this past weekend, we had an outstanding week 1 and then just an absolutely weird week 2. I still think weird things can happen. Gamecocks are 26-point underdogs against the Bulldogs this weekend, but they are at home. It should be a big crowd. It should be, a game that the players get up for. They, tend to get up for Georgia. Even last year's game, as poorly as it went, Carolina did come out and fight, at least for the first quarter. What can South Carolina do, I guess, to bounce back? You got this one, then you got two you should win before you hit the road yet again to another house of horrors in Kentucky. But, what can Carolina do to kind of go out and give the Bulldogs a ball game this weekend?
Well, I mean, you got to start fast. And to me, you got to coach better. I mean, as great as South Carolina special teams were against Georgia State, they were equally as poor at Arkansas. I mean, Kai Kroger, 3 punts for a 21-yard average, and Shank, the first one, I think it was like a 7-yarder. You had another bad snap on an extra point that cost the Gamecocks, that play, which they were constantly trying to catch up to. And then I thought that, quite frankly, there was questionable coaching decisions. I thought it was questionable to go for an onside kick with 6+ minutes to go when you're down by 11 points. I think you kick it deep and play defense. Arkansas was in, shutdown mode. They weren't going to put the ball up for grabs. They were going to line up and run it. And I thought the first 2 onside kicks were abysmal. I thought, Marshawn Lloyd, you got the ball in the fourth quarter after Arkansas has that long drive that spans the end of the third quarter, and then they score on the first play of the fourth quarter. He fumbles. Arkansas scores. You go back down the field in the red zone. Spencer Rattler threw one into a crowd. It reminded me of Allen Mitchell in 1983 against Clemson. He tried to throw the ball through about 3 or 4 Razorbacks. You can't have those kind of mistakes. South Carolina had no business when it was 12. They cut it back to 12. They had no business going for 2 to get it to 10 there. You keep it at 11 because then all you need is a touchdown. Yes, you have to hit the 2-point play and a field goal. Time and score situations. If you miss that, you don't have time for 2 touchdown drives. They have to coach better, they have to execute better, and they have to play better. But here's the good news, JC, is this is the most talented South Carolina offense we've seen since vintage Steve Spurrier. Look, I can't discount 2017 South Carolina when you had about 2 NFL running backs. First, Debo Samuel, Shi Smith, Brian Edwards. But you did have Kurt Roper. But you didn't have Spencer Rattler. I mean, no offense to Jake Bentley, who I thought, played well for most of that year. There are weapons all over the field. And quite frankly, none of them are Josh Vann. And Jalen Brooks, look how tough and physical he's playing. Look how well he's catching the ball. Juice Wells, Amarian Brown, the running backs. I mean, I have to hope, and maybe it's just fool's gold because we beat up on North Carolina, who, App State hung 61 on last week. And then, they were very fortunate to beat the Fighting Sean Elliott's in Atlanta this past weekend. But there are a lot of weapons, and you do have a big-time player at quarterback. And I think we just have to accept the fact, yes, we lost this swing game. This was one of the big swing games. But this should be a team that gets better as the season goes on, and this group gels and develops their chemistry and identity as an offense. And you have to hope the defense starts showing up.
Mm-hmm. It definitely did show up on the road.
Yeah.
Next road game, of course, is not until October 8th at Kentucky. Some news, I think, and I've not confirmed this. It was a post on the message board. Chris Rodriguez, the running back for UK, will be back for Ole Miss October 1st, which means if he's healthy for that game, he'll play against the Gamecocks, which I don't think anybody felt like Chris Rodriguez wouldn't be playing against Carolina by the time he got there.
And no surprise there.
Yeah, big win for them.
So if we're talking about Kentucky, to me, that was the battle of the dead ass average Saturday night in the swamp.
The DAA.
The most overrated team in the country. Every time Florida has a win with a new coach, they automatically vault to the top. I mean, AR-15, the number 2 or 3 quarterback in America and the SEC, 14 for 35, 2 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown. And quite frankly, Justice Boone knocked the mayonnaise out of Will Levis.
Wow.
In that game. And all the people that think he's Josh Allen, I'm sorry, he's not. I mean, they're pretty good, but to me, that is still a very winnable game because, quite frankly, I don't think Florida has Juice Wells.
They don't.
No.
They don't. They don't. I mean, they
have Bell. I don't think they have Marshawn Lloyd, although I did like Etienne. The freshman running back. He looked nice.
That's Travis Etienne's brother.
Yeah.
I like, and I thought Lloyd's playing really well, playing really fast. I think the rushing yards from scrimmage will come at 7 catches, 72 yards this past weekend, including a 43-yarder on a screen pass. You can just kind of feel him getting better. But yeah, you're right, Keith. I didn't think either one of those teams on Saturday night were as explosive on offense as South Carolina.
I mean, I agree. I mean, and honestly, I wish Justice Boone was in a Gamecock uniform because they need him.
Especially now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, based off my inside information, it could have happened. Well, they won Terrell Dawkins, who was the 5th defensive end. Now he's the 4th defensive end. And so we'll see.
I'll see. Yeah. Well, people talk about good recruiting, bad recruiting, Keith. And some people think it's if you don't sign enough stars or whatever, you don't, you don't finish highly in the rankings. I've always bad recruiting is when you have an in-state player and you don't want him and he goes elsewhere and plays well. That's kind of that's kind of how I judge that. So those types of decisions are actually, I think, what you need to judge a staff on in recruiting. And they're not going to bat 1,000 on there. You're not always going to hit on everything, but that happens too many times, as we saw with the receivers under the previous regime during the Muss Champion era.
Jalen, 11 for the balls on Saturday.
Yeah, Hyatt and the kid from Virginia that got out of state. I mean, those are all kids that, when you look at the shape of the receiving core when the new staff got there, they obviously could have used. So that's the deal there. By the way, the university did release just now while we're sitting here talking, Kaba and Strawn out for the year, season-ending injuries, ACLs.
Man, I saw it on Mo Kaba on that play. He kind of got rolled up, and he went up in the air and came down and immediately grabbed for the knee. And he's South Carolina. I thought he's their best linebacker.
I agree.
Right? Because he had the ACL in high school. He missed his senior year. He came in during the shutdown with the COVID. I mean, that was mass chaos. Last year was really his first year of playing college football. And you just hate to see it for the young man because, and JC, you know this because you talked to some of the same people I have from up there where he's from. This is absolutely a tremendous young man that's basically like an Eagle Scout. I mean, he is about doing everything the right way all the time. And he battled back from one injury and was primed to have a big year. And now, another season ending injury. Got to be very disappointing.
Hate it for him. Hate it for Jordan Strong, too. Both those guys, by the way, could come back. It's not like their careers are over. I don't know what the call will be. I would think both would come back to South Carolina next season, but that's still a blow. I think, what you got to do, you got to hope Sherrod Green, like you said, Keith, holds up. And then I think get Stone Blanton ready to get in there and roll as the season progresses. I mean, I would expect Stone to probably start getting a lot of reps around Charlotte, SC State, those games to get him ready because it's like they're going to need him, to be in the rotation this year. Whereas had Kaba stayed healthy, maybe you bring him along a little more slowly. But you're going to need Stone Blanton. All right, Keith. Any further thoughts before we jump off here and get rolling on a Monday?
Yeah. So I mean, look, we all looked at the schedule. We all knew it was going to be difficult at Arkansas. Certainly Georgia will have to help South Carolina if South Carolina is going to pull off that upset. You look at it, and after the first 5 games, you're going to be 3-2. Okay, you get a chance to go out and try to execute against one of the top teams in America this week at home. Then you get 2 weeks and 2 games, which you should win to be able to build depth, to continue to build your chemistry, to establish your identity, and get ready to go to Lexington because those last 7 games, I mean, look, you do have 4-loss Jimbo, who is already now dropped one at home to App State. Okay, they're going on the road now. I mean, there are opportunities. I mean, if Pitt doesn't lose their quarterback, Tennessee probably gets an L.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Florida, I'm not convinced. And so there are games. I mean, Missouri, that's a game you got to win that game. You can't lose Missouri a bit. But to me, the next swing game is at Kentucky. And so you got 3 games to get ready for that. And if you pull off the upset against Georgia, well, great. I mean, 2-1 to me was the best case scenario after 3 games. But it is a long season, although it'll be over before we know it.
Yeah.
There's still 10 games, but that means there's only 10 games left that are guaranteed. This is a talented football team, but they have got to get off to better starts on the road, and they really had no excuse to play as poorly as they did on defense on Saturday.
I agree. Very good talk. Good having you in on a Monday, Keith, to break things down. Get your.
So hey, how was that Chicago Bears experience? Unbelievable ending to that game.
Yeah, I didn't go to the game. I went downtown though, right next to the stadium to wait for Mike. It was pouring down rain.
Yeah, like a flood.
It was like a flood, and everybody. That was a very bizarre game. I think it's kind of the any given Sunday philosophy because I don't know the Bears are going to end up being as good as the Niners, but Bears defense played well, and it's there's a lot of passionate fans. We probably don't understand that being from the South, right?
Did they rush out of the bars into the streets to celebrate like they did in Boone? Because it was raining in Boone. And a friend of mine sent me a video of the main little square with sports bars and just thousands of students rushing out into the streets on Saturday afternoon after a win over 4-loss Jimbo.
4-loss Jimbo.
4-loss Jimbo.
Keith,
I think I saw a car getting flipped in Lexington, Kentucky this weekend too, Keith. I mean,
All right, man. Anybody in Appalachia, the hillbilly part of the South, you got to watch out for that. They're a little more refined in Knoxville about things like property damage, but they have a rock for them on spray paint. So they got like, let's just do this, and then they won't flip over cars because they can just spray paint this rock. And
I think the burning of furniture is reserved for West Virginia, but some of those could be meth lab accidents.
Might be incidental.
We just kept getting meth in there and the couch blew up. And anyway. All right. Good to end it on a funny note, Keith. You have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon, bud.
All right, guys. Have a great rest of the week.
Thanks. You too, Keith. Keith Allsep from Locked on the Gamecocks podcast. I like having him on Mondays. I like that initial reaction.
That's fine, because Keith's going to give it to you unvarnished. That's the good thing.
Yeah. He does. All right, chat boxers. I know that we've been doing this, but we can come back to you here in a little bit. Also, we got I Help Consulting Mailbag segment we're going to start with next. Don't forget, manscaped.com. If you want to have the tools for your family jewels, go to manscaped.com right now. Proud sponsor of the Inside the Gamecocks, the show. 20% off, free worldwide shipping. I've used their product, so is Phil. I have my Manscaped shirt on. Look at this. There we go. Because
I'm wearing Manscaped apparel too, but I can't show you.
Oh yeah, you can't. It's just a PG show. And so so please support the show and do that. Also, hour number 2 brought to you by the Burgesson team at Remax at the Lake. Adam and his guys do a great job with commercial real estate, multifamily. You've heard the commercial there, so get in touch with those guys if you're interested in that. We'll be right back after these messages on Inside the Gamecocks, the show to wrap up a Monday. Woo!
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of Remax at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
Attention golfers of all ages and skill sets. Former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor will be a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina very, very soon. You want to take advantage of this opportunity. If you're like me and you got to get a whole lot better at golf, or even if you're looking to refine your swing, Meredith is the person you need to go to. She's competing in her final USGA Mid-Amateur Tournament this summer before going full-time into teaching and coaching individuals. If you're in South Carolina, Meredith will be conducting in-person golf lessons at the Country Club of Lexington, hour on course. She'll play 9 or 18 with you. If you're out of state, though, this is really exciting. She'll be conducting virtual lessons. You can send in your swing for her expert analysis. Also, in November, she'll launch an online course with video instruction for all ages and skill levels. Meredith has 20-plus years of knowledge, former SEC golfer, all of that. So contact her on Twitter at MerTaylor, at MERTAYLOR, or go to McKellarEnterprises.org. McKellar spelled MCKELLAR, Enterprises.org. Her email's on the website, so you can connect with her for any other questions. Go get your golf game in order. Take advantage of Meredith Taylor and her services.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Hey folks, JC here. I've told you about Nana's Porch over and over again. They sponsor our chat box on the show. Don't take my word for it, though. I wanted you to hear from Gamecock pitcher Noah Hall about our sponsor, Nana's Porch. Nana'sPorch.com. Go there, food truck, catering, whatever you need. Take it away, Noah.
What's up, Gamecock fans? This is pitcher Noah Hall. If you want some delicious food for your event, I suggest visiting nanasporch.com today to find out what they all have to offer. It's really good Southern cuisine based out of Charlotte, my hometown. I hope you guys go check it out. Go Cox and go Nanas.
Hey, man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues, and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
Oh, I feel that, man. My head hurts, but I have a good lead on a good idea. I'm calling your boy Matthew Odom today from Heritage Digital. Heritage Digital is an IT firm that specializes in making sure your IT network runs like a dream. If you have 1 or 500 employees, it doesn't matter. They do it all for one monthly fee and have clients from South Carolina all the way to California.
Yeah, I heard that monthly fee's low too, so I don't know why I didn't even think of that. Do you have 843-699-1001 as Matt's contact number?
Yeah, man, I sure do that. Or you can go to heritagedigital.com.
Man, I hear they do a no-cost assessment. Boy, this will help me.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm getting on that and encouraging everyone else to do the same. Heritage Digital, 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com, a proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
I used to be president of the United States, and I love the show with Phil and JC.
Oh, welcome back. It's on the Gamecocks, the show. JC Sherbert here with Phil Mullinax. Hour number 2, brought to you by the Burgesson team, really max at the lake. Once again, chat box is wide open. Inside the Gamecocks at gmail.com or tweet to @theBigSpurPod to get it on the mailbag. And we're going to head on out to the mailbag and get some questions answered, right? Blah, 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 blah. Here we go. All right. So, blah, blah, blah. Looking. Okay. Kim the Quad said, felt like the O-line did better this Saturday with pass rushing. Glad to see we can score points offensively, but the offense as a whole seems to lack identity. Not sure where or when they're going to hit the field, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah. Identity on offense. I agree. There's no, like Arkansas, when we talked about it, Phil, I basically described their identity. They're going to get in the gun. They're going to put a lot of window dressing. They're going to, try to get you in third and less than 5 and where they convert. And then grind you to death, and they'll hit the big play down the field. And that's their identity. South Carolina, I don't know what the identity is. And we always talk about that when the offense is struggling. And it's okay sometimes to not have an identity, to be a team that can do different things and come out in different looks every week. And I think that's the plan in theory with Satterfield. Is it the best plan? Hadn't worked so far. Is it is it something that in theory you should go home? Well, yeah, these guys come out and they have something different every single week, and that's pretty good. And they're hard to stop because of that, but they haven't been.
Yeah, I mean, the identity in week 1 looked like, okay, let's force feed Jaheim Bell to whatever end, and we're fortunate we came out of that one with a win. And then yesterday, this past weekend, like you said, there is no identity other than, at least we saw more, we saw different, but I mean, are we going to get more and different again Saturday?
I mean, yeah, they seem to like that empty look with Spencer Rattler, and like I said, I don't really have a problem with that or doing that every now and then. I think, what they need to probably think about is how do you, if they're getting pressure out of that empty set, how do you kind of maybe protect a little better? Do you move a guy back in to protect in the backfield? Do you chip him? I mean, how do you do that? And that would be my question there. And I'd like to see him spread it out and run it. I mean, obviously you don't have to go 5 wide and run it, obviously, because you can't. You can go 4 wide and run it with Rattler, like you said, Phil. I think that's a smart thing because you're still manufacturing rushing yards that way and keeping them honest rather than, everybody in the stadium knowing that, when you go 5 wide, other than that first little run by Rattler, you're probably going to, throw it. And that's not good either. Of course, Spencer's pretty good or good enough, I think, to find his lanes when he has time. So my first priority would be give Spencer time. So
yeah. Create ways to make time if you don't feel like traditionally you can block up front. Or do some misdirection or something, run speed, sweep one way, pull a guard and send them that way, and then run to the weak side with somebody. I mean, I don't know. There's all kind of ways you can get around that. But if I worry about this weekend because I know the defensive minds that are going to show up in Williams-Brice on Saturday will have everything they need in their back pocket to stop that empty set.
Absolutely.
They will tee off on you because they got the talent to do it too.
On Nana Sports chat box, Chancey makes a good point. He says, remember it took Tennessee until October 1st of last season to figure out it all out with the new toys they had. I think it's going to get better over time here. At least I hope. Look, I think, there's not a slew of negativity.
No.
I mean, I think that's good. I think the other good thing is that they've really found something. It's almost been quiet with Juice Wells. I mean, that guy, he's very quietly caught 15 passes in the past 2 games. I think that's good. I think, some guys you got to find a way to get going. You got to get Jaheim Bell going again. It was important to get Stogner going week 1 to week 2, and they did. They got to try to run the football. I mean, if you're gonna sit there and throw it like that all over the yard and go empty and all this good stuff, you need to find a dang way to manufacture rushing yards. And they did that the first drive, and then they went. As so often happens around here, something's working, and then they either on offense it either gets beaten to death, like the screens on the first score drive. You dial up 4 or 5 of those in a row, and they're working, and great. If they're not going to stop it, do it. But then you got the sense that you shouldn't run another screen. Probably Norm Macdonald, the late Norm Macdonald. Hey, you probably shouldn't run another screen here.
Yeah, right.
That happened.
But we have this tendency of just abandoning. Okay, it didn't work that one time, so it's over. That's the last time we run it. You could bring it back.
I've seen that before. People that have big playbooks like that, they kind of pick and choose, and I don't know. Anyway, inside the Gamecocks at gmail.com is the I Help Consulting mailbag. Tim says, I get the feeling our staff, like a lot of our fan base, bought into the Rattler is going to be our savior. Don't get me wrong, he's talented. We're fortunate to have him, but is it fair that our offensive coordinator has basically abandoned the running game and put the offense on his back? I don't know that that's a wise decision, Tim. I mean, I think that is it fair? I don't know about fair. I just think that and he goes and talks Phil about being empty. He's like, for example, consistently running a 5 wide receiver set with no running back in the backfield. This isn't the Big 12. If you can't run, you can't win, unless you're Mississippi State. But last time I checked, Mike Leach wasn't dialing them up over there.
But even then, I mean, the Leach's air raid is not one dimensional. He'll go to the run.
Yeah,
just to keep him honest.
Yeah, it's raw. I mean, and look, I have no problem with that. You want to do that, fine, but you need to do your run game needs to kind of work with that. Like when Spurrier was throwing it around the yards, he basically had a power run play, a tall sweep, and a draw.
Yeah, right.
and until Sean Elliott, G.A. Mangus, and Eric Wolfer got there in 2009, that's all. That was what the run game was, man.
Yeah.
He's also disappointed the defense looks like we sit back and react instead of being aggressive. Well, look, man, Arkansas took the fight to Carolina. I mean, that's not a scheme thing. That's a player thing. Time for these highly rated D-line to step up and get things done. Agreed.
Yep.
Still love my Gamecocks, but it's hard sometimes. I agree. And Tim adds, Marcus Satterfield's the type of guy that would play Tecmo Bowl and elect to throw the ball with Todd Marinovich rather than run it with Bo Jackson. Todd Marinovich, Marcus, he gets run heavy. I mean, you think about last year in the bowl game, and a lot of times he's not. This is different for him. I mean, compared to last year, But if that's the way, who knows? Jeff says, I want to believe. Last year, I gave Satterfield some latitude because of the quarterback situation. However, I did think he lacked feel for the game. He proved that without a doubt against Arkansas. There we go, Phil. Jeff says things that he worked, he never came back to. The offensive line performance was really bad again. Bumper Pool came free several times. We had linemen double teaming 1D linemen. How do you not identify where their best player is lined up and slide protect? Don't know. Beamer has made a terrible decision to keep Satterfield as the play callers. This is on him now. Beamer could very well find his seat quite hot. Yeah,
that's a little early for that. Yeah,
Let's not. And people, but I'll remind everybody that last year, after the Georgia game, somebody called for Beamer to get fired.
Yeah,
they were 2-1 and just got beat by a really good football team on the road and fire him now. That said, this is results-oriented business, and our offense is bad, even with upgraded talent. JC, where do we go from here? This was sent on Saturday at 8:07. obviously, an instant reaction. Jeff, I just think you got to keep plugging away. I think there's some things about the offense that are improving. If you're going to do that with Spencer, bombs away and all that good stuff, you need to find a way to run the football. I mean, you could be pass oriented, but you got to find a way to run the football. Find a way to run the football. John says, JC had some time to think about it overall. The offense looked better, but I don't understand why we completely abandoned the running game. There we go. We have a guy like Lloyd in the backfield. I knew it would be a tough game, but the defense got manhandled. Too many missed tackles, and the D-line got pushed around. Yeah, and look, I think the D-line obviously has to play better, right, on South Carolina's end. But I also think that had a lot to do with Arkansas and their offensive line. I mean, those guys – and here's where I'll differ with Keith a little bit. I don't care if South Carolina has four or 5 stars on the offensive line. And I'll differ with Keith on that. I understand what he's saying and certainly respect his point. But I'll differ. South Carolina's defensive line, it was not as good as Arkansas's offensive line. It's not as good. I don't care what star rating. They're just not as good. And I don't know where Pittman found those guys. I mean, he found this big 6'9" kid from up here in Illinois, like in Chicagoland. I'm like, wow. So Pittman, again, masterful offensive line recruiting. Overall, John saw improvement, is excited about what the team can accomplish this season. They could, honestly, man, they could be 7-2 going to the Swamp.
Everything is still in front of you for this team. I mean, it's not just because it's game 2, but there are weapons everywhere. We're finding these diamonds in the rough with the freshmen on, defense. And I think, Blanton, I think he'll have to come in. But I think he's going to impress as well. I mean, I just think, that he's got a good football head and obviously him and Warry's there. So even with what we're losing, Strong and Cabo, don't get me wrong, that's going to hurt. It will hurt. But, you get the opportunity to develop these guys early, and they're going to get trial by fire Saturday because, I mean, there's not another team you play on the schedule that's going to be as tough as the game you've got. And then everything after that is winnable. Everybody's got chinks in their armor somewhere. Even the vaunted orange fog, that's going to come in here with a defense, and by the time we start playing them, they're going to have a 5-star freshman quarterback behind center. I'm calling it. That's my hot take today.
Call the Cole Kubley switch.
Yeah.
A lot of my Clemson folks I know think that's inevitable.
I think it's inevitable.
But then they may just be thinking about like Trevor's freshman year and Deshaun's freshman year when they took over. I mean, I don't know.
I don't analyze them like I do us, but
I think it's Cade Kubley too. I think I'm
Cade,
Cade Cole.
Okay.
I'm thinking of Cole Kubelic.
Yeah, that's right. Number 2.
John is on who is number 2?
Number 2.
I've been a fan of this team for 35 years, so I'm not going to abandon ship now. Thanks for the show, and I enjoy listening to you and Phil while I patrol the streets of Charleston. Go Cox. John, thank you for we have lots of respect for law enforcement on this show, and we certainly appreciate you doing that, putting yourself in harm's way so other people can be safe. And I agree. I mean, that's pretty much the same thing a lot of people have said. Tristan said offense is much improved. We got a glimpse of what this offense could be. Finally got to see the deep ball. Need to find consistency. Need to find some balance in the run game. But I don't expect us to be running when we're down 3 touchdowns. I feel much better about the offense. Defense can't stop the run. Thought the defense was solid. I was wrong. That's a big old weakness. Even though Arkansas may be the best in the league at running the ball, still have to figure out a way to stop it. Kentucky and Georgia will try to do the same thing. Stop the run, you beat Arkansas. Oh, I agree, Tristan. I mean, that's the key to most football games, right? And I'll I don't know what's going to happen with Mo Kaba going out, right? But I'll differ with you and disagree and say I do think their run defense has improved. I think they had a terrible game. And Arkansas is really good. So when you don't play your best, you play a team that is, and all that, you're the results obvious.
And also, JC, I mean, there were flashes of pass rush with 4 guys against that offensive line this weekend too, which I think we can take some hard in coming into this week. Because like I said, I mean, pass rush I think is more important this week than it was last week because you don't have that threat of a running quarterback.
I mean,
it will move, but he's not run you over.
You're not going to bounce off of him like you bounced off KJ Jefferson, for God's sake.
Yeah, even Morey hits him as hard as he did KJ Jefferson, and Stetson Bennett's on the flat of his back.
You got a hit on the Tristan says hit on the deep balls. Main worries the run D. I hope Coach White can scheme something up for the ground and pound teams in the near future. Personally, I think you got to change for those teams, but I'm no defensive guy. Anxiously excited to see how the rest of the season goes. I'm trying to think of like who else on the schedule. Georgia's not similar to Arkansas offensively. Let's see who at A&M definitely is not similar to Arkansas offensively, scheme wise. Florida is close. Tennessee's obviously got some concepts, right? Because it's kind of the same. It's the same offense, just with different personnel. Clemson's going to run their quarterback as long as DJ's the quarterback a little bit.
Yeah.
And Clemson's still a run-oriented football team right now. And
Kentucky's going to run it at you.
Yeah, but
Levis does not.
He runs every now and then, but it's not all the time. But you got to solve it, and you got to solve it starting Saturday. And if Saturday doesn't work out, you got to do it in Lexington, Kentucky. You got to figure out if there is something with the scheme that they're doing that's not great. I mean, I thought it was encouraging against Georgia State and that system. That there were long periods of time where they did stop the run. It was just disappointing. But Arkansas throws so much at you. You got Rocket Sanders, you got KJ Jefferson, you got this, that, and the other. The more I think about it, the more I think it's, yes, South Carolina needs to play better, but a lot of that Saturday had more to do with the Hogs than the Gamecocks. Chavez says, Gamecocks will win 6, maybe 7. Our talent outside the offensive line is good enough to compete with 6, 7 more teams on the schedule. We have to win 5 of those at a minimum. Well, you've already got 1. And then the SC State and Charlotte, so there's 3. Missouri and Vandy should be wins, so there's 5. So Florida, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Clemson, ish.
Georgia, dare I say, this weekend. Problem you have is coaching. Lindsey and White are up and down. See, you can't. Jonathan. Every time you have a game that doesn't go well, you can't blame coaching. I mean, every single time.
Yeah.
Especially
the second half of that game, because your two of your stars on defense are gone.
Yeah,
you're scheming around that.
By the end, I think. As far as the defensive line goes, I'm just going to say, this second year is a big deal. I think as far as how do you maximize? I mean, you have to maximize your D line at South Carolina. That's normally going to be where a lot of your good players are, just because of where you're located. I have seen some great things out of Birch. Zach Pickens playing well in terms of keeping the guards off the linebackers, letting them make plays. But there was just a breakdown. Satterfield knows offense, but is a terrible play caller. You change coordinators in the Arkansas game and give Carolina Browse and Odom, and Gamecocks win that game, or it's very close. Kids played hard. Coaching has to get better. Look, I'm with you there. I just, sometimes it's just the other team's day, and Arkansas won. Their kids, their players, won that battle. I don't know that the coaches could have done much else. As far as that goes. Gamecock Pastor going to do Pastor's post game tomorrow as we wrap it up. That's a long one. Dylan says, I've been thinking a lot about our defense against Arkansas, and I have a question. Clayton White saved last season. Despite being terrible against the run, the defense had a lot of turnovers, and I think that really helped. Yeah, Gamecocks aren't getting the turnovers this year. I know we lost several key defensive players throughout the game, but don't you think dropping a safety into the box would have been better and forced Arkansas to throw more? If you think about their base formation of 5 offensive linemen, quarterback, huge running back, we were really down a man in the box. The minute you start doing that, though, and that's the beauty of that offense, they're going to check into something else, kill you.
Get burned. Yeah.
I mean that's what's so dangerous about Arkansas's offense, in my opinion, and kind of the combination of things they have. You got a great running back. You got a 240-pound quarterback that's hard to stop running the ball, that's a good enough passer to hurt you downfield. You got guys that can make plays down the field. You got a crazy elite athletic tight end. You've got an offensive line, and that's where it all starts for them, that will beat you into submission.
And as well as they were playing, I mean, they'd have run straight into an 8-man front and still would have gotten it doesn't matter. So, they wouldn't have had to get creative. They wouldn't have had to shown their hand and throwing over the top. They could have just continued to impose their will.
Yeah. He goes, in a lot of ways, Beamer's game management wasn't great either. It's clear he wants to be aggressive, but they were calculated risk and calling ultra aggressive games. Probably the 2-point conversion attempt there at the end. Keith's right. You're still, there's no difference between if you get it there, then it's a touchdown and a field goal, right? Mm-hmm. Rather than having to go for 2 late. But, so it's probably a judgment call as to when you want to go for 2, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see about that. I don't have a problem with Shane being aggressive with things. It's just like, when do you want to do it? And, so far this year, I don't think the timing's been all that bad. Lastly, this is the second week. Our long snapper is on an extra point. Is that a bad snap? Yep. And this would probably be the last week, if it happens this weekend, that he is the long snapper. Mm-hmm. Unless the guy you have is worse, you got to kind of make him.
But then you got to ask too. I mean, could Kai Kroger have caught that and made it work like he did a couple times last year?
Yeah,
because he was not the holder Saturday.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I remember he says on the board, South Carolina received a commitment from a long snapper during the Muschamp era. They got the long snapper Nick Muse and Nick Muse, and everybody was just, "Whoa, God, no, William and Mary transfer." Long snapper, that guy.
That was a show.
Played pretty well. And last I checked, Nick Muse was a draft pick. So the board collectively dismissed it. Are we finally getting karma for those reactions? No.
No.
Don't you put that evil on the big Spur, Dylan. Put that evil. Right? Don't you do that, man. Anyway, and that's all from inside the Gamecocks at gmail.com, the IL Consulting mailbag. Day. All right. Jordan has an interesting point, right? Let's not forget that the defense had the opportunity to start Arkansas multiple times, both KJ and Sanders, but couldn't quite finish tackles in the backfield at the line. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of broken tackles.
A lot of missed tackles.
KJ, which I expected the KJ thing to happen. Not so sure about Sanders. But he's a big old back too.
Mm-hmm.
You got to wrap up and take care of it, right? Right, Jordan. Day says, I am perfectly okay with the game plan being past the start, but it didn't work. We tried running, which worked exceptionally well. Then we went back to the pass, and it led to one score on the next 5 drives. I don't know that I'm not sure what you mean. Because I thought that like the first scoring drive, like that was a pass to Marshawn on a screen, 43-yard, and then they almost did that too much. I thought on that one they didn't mix it up at all. It was just like screen pass after screen pass, and they had to settle for a field goal. So I'm not sure their day, but you do have a main point here. When you do something and it fails, then you switch to something that is successful. Then you switch back to what is failing without the successful stuff even one more time. That's horrible coaching. That is. I have to look at it. I have to go back and look because I'm not sure what exactly the deal is. Ryan Ritchie says Juju is a better back right now than Lloyd. Juju gets north-south. Juju is a really good player. They need to figure out how to get the ball in his hands a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, I love what they did with him in the bowl game last year, but I agree. Well, Lloyd can get north-south. I mean, on the screen pass, he did it. I mean, from scrimmage, I think he's just running into things like everybody else. Right? It's crowded,
Yeah, there's no room.
Derek mentions Christian Beal Smith to run some inside. And like I said, I'm not so sure.
I think we only saw him on like 1 or 2 plays.
Yeah, they tried to hit him on a screen.
When
it was almost blown up. So, moving forward, Daddy O says this team doesn't have that edge and attitude like in years past. It's been 1 game or 2 games. Let's just wait to see before, edge and attitude. I mean, I'll give you an example, Daddy-O. Like, all right, 2013, right? South Carolina goes down to Georgia, second game of the year, and this is with guys like Mike Davis and Connor Shaw and everybody, the whole crew, that crew that had attitude and toughness that year, and they got beat 41-30 and could not stop them. Like Nick Saban. And things were fine. I mean, it was week 2, similar game there. Oh man, we ran over, which I expected us to do here on a Monday.
Yeah, I figured as much this week. Yeah.
We'll
pick it all back up again tomorrow.
Yeah. So we will definitely do that. For those of you that wonder why I shaved my head, it was you probably didn't listen to the show or you missed the commercials. It's because the Gamecocks lost. I said I wasn't going to cut my hair until the Gamecocks lost, and I was so ready to get it cut especially after that loss. I just shaved it.
That's right.
Anyway,
just let it go.
Let it go. Let it rock and roll. Right. For Phil Mullinax, JC Sherbert, this has been Inside the Gamecocks, the show. We appreciate you joining us. We'll be back tomorrow with more talk about the Gamecocks. Have a great afternoon, everyone.